This is a very common question and one that a lot of students lose 1 mark on. It's only worth 1 mark, but even so, it's an easy 1 mark. You may as well get it. So this will be part B or C or D or something like that. And earlier on in the question, I promise you, you will have been asked this. What is the range? Well, okay, I don't promise, but it's likely. What is the range of f of x? I don't promise, okay, I take that back. But it's very likely that you'll have been asked, what is the range of f of x? Okay, so you look at your graph, say we had something like an exponential or something going like that, and this is 3. So the range of f of x would be all of the y's that are bigger than 3. Now, don't forget, range is where you come from, so that's all your x's along here, this is your range. And your domain, that's all of the y's. Sorry, oh my god, completely take that back. This is your domain. What is wrong with me? Let's undo that. This is your domain. Your domain is all of your x's. Sorry about that. And your range is all of your y's. So your function f here takes an x value in the domain and it plots it over into a y value in the range. Now if you're doing the inverse function, then you're taking that y value and you're coming back and turning it back into the x value that it was originally. But because we think of input as x and output as y, if I am f minus 1, if I'm the inverse function, if I'm about to do the inverse function, then my input is this y over here, which I'm now going to call an x. And my output is going to be a y, even though actually these are identical and these are identical. I'm just calling it x if it's going in and calling it y if it's coming out. So this, on the right, this is actually the domain of f minus 1, because the domain is the input, the thing that goes in, the x's. The range is the thing that comes out. So the range of f is the same as the domain of f minus 1. They are the same thing. And on the other side, the range of f minus 1, that's where I end up if I do the inverse function, that's the same as the domain of f. That's where f starts. So where f starts, that's where f minus 1 stops, and where f stops, that's where f minus 1 starts, because they're the inverse of each other. So if we go back to the original question and rephrase it slightly, when it says state the domain of the inverse function, it's actually saying state the range of the original function. Now we already did that in part A. That's why they usually get you to already do it, and that's why it's only 1 mark. Because all you have to do is write down the same thing. You have to be a little bit careful. Let's have a look at the example that I gave earlier. So the example that we had was this one here. Oops, that one there. This function here, looks like it's e to the x plus 3. So the range of this function is all of the y's that are bigger than 3. That's the range. That's the range of f. Now I've told you that the range of f, says here, the range of f is exactly the same as the domain of f minus 1. That's the whole point of this video. The range of f is the same as the domain of f minus 1, and we saw it from our picture as well. Here it is. Here is the range of f, and that is just the same as the domain of f minus 1. That's where f minus 1 takes its things from. So can I just write down domain of f minus 1 and just write the same thing? Y is bigger than 3. Well, yes and no. Yes, I can. It is the same thing. But when we're talking about range and domain, we have these letters x and y, and we use y for range. Y is for range. Anytime we're talking about an output, we use y. But the same thing, when we're thinking of it as part of the domain, we use x. So that's the only difference between the range of f and the domain of f minus 1, is that y becomes x. And other than that, it's just exactly the same. So I'll do one example to show you what I mean, a bit more clearly, hopefully. So let's think of a function. I'll do a quadratic, I think. So maybe y equals x plus 1 squared plus 1. So that looks like this. And this is the point -1, and this is the point 1. So let's not use y, let's use f of x. F of x. Okay, so the range of f of x is all of the y value. So the lowest y value is here, and then it goes up to infinity. There's no stopping that y, it goes up and up and up and up. So the range of f of x is all of the y's that are greater than or equal to 1. What about the domain of the inverse function? Well, the inverse function just takes all those y's and brings them back to what they were originally. So that's the same thing. So the domain of the inverse function is going to be all the things bigger than or equal to 1. It's just that we're going to rename them because instead of thinking of them as an output, we're thinking of them as an input. So it'll be x greater than or equal to 1. It's an easy mark really once you get used to it.